With so much time at home, it can seem like ages since we're able to catch up properly with friends, go to a concert or movie, sit in a cafe, or hug the people we love. It's more important now than ever to make the extra effort to stay connected with the people we care about, so our physical distance doesn't mean social distance and isolation. Fortunately, technology gives us many ways of connecting creatively with others from our own homes. Today, parenting and family psychology expert and founder of the Triple P Positive Parenting Program, Professor Matt Sanders, shares some ideas about staying socially connected for yourself and for your children.
How can I keep my son connected with friends and family while the social isolation restrictions are still in place?
I have a big family. I'm one of 10, and we're really missing being able to get all the cousins together. Mum and Dad are missing all the grandchildren, and we're all missing seeing them as well.
I'm struggling with my teenagers at the moment. I understand that their social life is outside of these walls of our home, but they really aren't just getting why they can't see their friends if COVID-19 doesn't really affect young people.
One of my main concerns is how to stay connected with my children and my extended family.
Many of us are asking right now about why it is so important for us to remain socially connected with others in our social world. Well, as humans, we are social beings and we thrive socially, emotionally, and in terms of our health when we feel we belong to a group and we're connecting well with others. Feeling socially connected is important because it's so related to our mental health and our sense of well-being. And of course, it's very important to help prevent problems like being socially isolated, being lonely, being depressed, and feeling as though that we're in a world of abandonment. Parents belong to multiple different social groups. On the one hand, we're parents, but we're also sons or daughters. We might be carers. We might belong to particular religions or ethnicities or nationalities. We belong to particular occupations, and we may be great sports fans of a particular type of sport or music lovers. There are many ways that we can connect with other social groups. And it's through these social connections that we define who we are as a person and we create our unique social identity. Having a social connection is the experience of feeling close to, part of, and connected with others. It involves feeling cared for, loved, and valued, and forms the basis of our interpersonal relationships. Now, a lot of us right now are missing close physical contact with others that we used to have with hugs and kisses when we greet. And social customs like shaking hands and being able to put your arm around someone in an environment we're being told not to do this anymore. This has involved an adjustment for everyone. And going forward, we don't know how long these physical distancing requirements are going to continue. But I think it's important to remember that we do not need to be socially distant from one another, and it doesn't have to mean social isolation. There are many ways that we can connect with each other, even when we can't be physically close.
The social isolation is doing our heads in a little bit. I'm coping with the occasional catch-up with my girlfriends via Zoom, but my partner's going stir-crazy. He wants to do a hook-up with different friends every night.
I do feel a little bit isolated right now. I'm getting all my social contact through Zoom and Facebook, LinkedIn, but it's not the same as catching up in person.
We're all different, and we have to think about who are the important social connections that we have in our lives. Some people are more social than others, and they seem to need to have more social contact with other people to feel okay about themselves, whereas others are actually quite happy to spend a lot of time in their own company and just have perhaps a few close family or friends that you like to have regular contact with. Or alternatively, you might be craving for daily contact with a much wider social circle. The issue is that right now we need to be prepared to reach out and to connect. Lots of people are making much greater use of their iPhones and online communications tools and social media to keep in touch with family and friends and neighbours. And through these social connections, we can be thinking about joint things, joint projects we can do, games we can play with each other, things like couch choir, trivia, joining in classes together that you do online, whereas you used to do in a group previously. You might find that you're really missing social contact with your workmates. So think about non-work catch-ups for coffee or after work that enable you to still get the benefits of a social connection, even though you can't be physically present with each other.
My kids are really worried about school camp and their favourite sports being cancelled. They keep talking about what they're missing out on and they're feeling really sad about it.
It's my little fella's birthday on the weekend. He's going to be so upset that he can't celebrate his birthday with his friends.
I really want my teenagers to connect with their friends, and at the moment social media is the best platform, whether it's Skype or Snapchat or TikTok. I know that I have to relax our family boundaries around the use of technology, but I'm really concerned about their safety online. I just can't be around all the time to supervise.
I'm a bit concerned with the amount of time the boys are spending on social media at the moment, but they are absolutely loving that we have given them permission to spend so much time on it.
I think one of the challenges right now is helping your child stay connected with the broader family group. You want social connections to be successful and enjoyable for everyone, so the idea of setting things up so everyone can see and hear properly if you're doing social communication through technology, through video conferencing. It's often a good idea to have some basic rules and expectations for video conferencing. Group calls are easier to manage if there are not too many people hooked in at the same time. Have someone moderate it so one person speaks at a time rather than everyone trying to be involved in communicating at the same time. And prepare your children ahead of the call so they know what they'd like to share or talk about with, say, their grandparents or their friends. So when it's their turn to have a say, they are ready to respond. Children also love being experts, so maybe they can teach other family members a thing or two about how to use the technology to stay in touch. To give kids an opportunity to share their wisdom and knowledge about technology is often a great way that grandparents convey an interest in what kids are saying. This is an ongoing relationship. It's not a once-off contact, so that when you're connecting through the medium of Zoom or Skype, assume that it's a continuing conversation. You don't have to pile everything into the one call to make it count. In fact, if it is an ongoing conversation, then everyone expects it to continue. For many older people, their social interaction is really around grandchildren. Grandparents love having stories to retell to others they know about how their kids and their grandkids are doing. They love seeing children develop. They love receiving messages from their grandkids, letters, drawings. So encouraging children to think of nice ways of connecting to grandparents in this way can be really helpful. And so it's about finding ways that children can connect also with their peers. And to find ways to help your children connect with their friends means that this will vary quite a bit depending upon the age of your child and how keen they are to be involved in something like video chat or emails or sending letters or playing joint online games together or footpath drawings and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of variation about what children are seeking in terms of peer contact. But our role as parents is to enable this to occur so it's easier for them to do so.
My parents are in the UK, so we're really trying to stay in touch regularly as things are pretty bad over there, and so we try and make sure we call every few days, which is pretty easy.
I think the takeouts in a lot of ways have to do with being attuned to people who have less capacity to connect with others. So this means being aware of members of your family or friends or neighbours who may be suffering a lot in this period of isolation and may need support. I mean, it could include people who live alone or who don't have access to technology. So small gestures of kindness can make a big difference for someone who's on their own, and it can make them feel so much better when they're being asked, "Are you okay?" Kids will also observe us as adults engaging in this sort of behaviour, and it will highlight to them the importance of doing it. So help your child think about ways of connecting with others who may be lonely. What kind of card could they create? What kind of painting? What kind of video message could they send to that person? And when children do this spontaneously and just rather than having to be told to do it or suggested that they do it, but if they just do it on their own bat, then it's a great idea to give them lots of encouragement for that kind gesture of reaching out to others. Social connection, it's very important right now.
That's all for this episode of Parenting in a Pandemic. Here are some tips for the week. Tip number 1, we all need to feel connected. So think about who are your most important social connections and how you can stay in touch. Tip number 2, physical distancing doesn't have to mean social isolation. Keep reaching out and connecting with the people who are important to you. Tip number 3, help your child stay connected too. Be creative in working out ways to keep in touch with family and their friends. Tip number 4, think about others who may be isolated and any ways that you can make them feel connected and cared for. Thanks for listening to Parenting in a Pandemic. If you're enjoying this podcast, make sure you like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to leave a review. It'll help others to find this series. You can find free COVID-19 Parenting in a Pandemic resources in the episode show notes to help you on this journey.